traumatic. It doesn't know that you were trying to save its life. It is now developmentally, it's almost like written in concrete how they respond to things in their life now. And it's a great deal of stress and pressure on the mother and the father. It's definitely, tremendous an amount of emotional strain and toll that it takes on everybody.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And definitely the siblings as well, like you're saying. Is her name Alice?
Alice, yeah.
Alice, yes. Our daughter was 18 months older, just about. Same exact response. And there's really nothing you can do about it, because when you have a child with cancer, you have to give every moment to them. And there's also these periods of time that unless you're going through it, nobody else understands what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
There's all of these things you have to do to keep the germs out of your home.
Mm-hmm.
You have to keep everything disinfected, and you sort of, because children are children, you end up sort of scolding the other one to make them keep things clean. Don't touch, don't do this, don't do that, and all of a sudden that child's world is affected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a wonderful thing that you guys are doing to bring some more awareness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hunter. Yeah.
I think
important to make parents aware, to get anytime you see something not looking right with your child's eyes, because it is one of those things that's also neglected at the 6-week wellness exam. It's really kind of blown right on over. And I think there's something like 900 children who go blind a year because of missed eye diseases. It's not just that one. There's many others.
Many others.
So I've advocated forever, that they've got to get a more strict regimen to check the eyesight of infants, because they're checking everything else, but that's one of those things, they just shine a little light in there, and you really need to dilate the pupil. You need to do a more thorough examination.
Yeah, that's the same thing we've been trying to do in the UK, I think, especially with the Childhood Eye Cancer Trust, who the single has been brought out to actually try and raise some money for. I've been advocating that for quite some time, where it becomes a part of the routine check for a small baby. It wasn't done on Joshua. I mean, we didn't notice until he was 18 months old, which is very late indeed.
But then you had to wait another 5 years. You had to go through 5 years worth of treatment with Josh before, unfortunately, he lost the other eye. Was it?
No. He lost his left eye when he was 3.5.
Right. And the right eye?
The right eye was dormant most of that time, and as soon as the left eye went, within 6 months, that had really exploded again.
Right.
So we had a load more treatment in the UK, ending up in New York, in actual fact, at the Sloan Kettering under Dr. David Abramson for some intraarterial chemotherapy as a last-ditch sort of attempt to save his final eye. They nearly got it, but not quite.
But I guess, and I'm sure, Hunter, you'll agree, the whole kind of positivity about the whole thing is early diagnosis. Get that sorted, and then the quality of life is kind of great from there on in. There's a great chance of saving the eyes and getting on in, but it is just about early diagnosis.
It is. But luckily, I mean, Josh has got his wicked sense of humour, which he's always had, even when he started treatment. I don't know what it is about that kid, but he just took it in his stride. He really did. He didn't really complain about the chemo. He didn't complain about the sickness. And the fact that, towards the end he was travelling backwards and forwards over the pond to New York on about 7 or 8 different occasions. He just loved it. But but we always made it very clear that this is a final attempt. And but he just, I don't know what he did. He just took it in his stride, and it's just got the most wicked sense of humour now. It's probably got it off me. But who knows?
Do you think so?
I will say that, yes, my daughter Katya, they do develop quite a bit of tenacity, and they do, because they're survivors and they've gone through so much. There is that good part that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
What I really related to in your song was, where it just really it brought tears to my eyes. I mean, it sprung to my eyes immediately when you said the part about just one of the boys.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I mean, my daughter is right now, she just turned 15, and so they're at that age where they just want to be, like everybody else. And
yeah.
It's hard, when they've got this disability, and they've got to be human. They've got their moments where they feel like, why did this happen to me? And your heart just breaks as a parent when you see them just trying to keep their chin up, and they do have their sense of humor, and they do all they can to cope. But, you just wish, gosh, they've got to stop this disease. They've got to help parents know what to look for and not to take these things nonchalantly. I think the thing that made me feel the angriest as a parent was that we were sent home from a 6-week wellness exam being told that our baby was perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah, didn't I?
So that's my big gripe. And I've tried to encourage parents to take Polaroid snapshots, any kind of camera you can get that has a flash without that delay that will trick the eye. You want to just check and make sure that one eye does not flash up white, one looking more prominent than the other, because that's basically how the tumor will reveal itself in photographs.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents had seen that for years and not realized until, of course, by the time the child was not doing too well and they lost their eyesight, then they were able to perhaps at least just save their life. But now that we at least know that, it's one of the quickest ways for parents to just let's go do a triple checkup on this and have their pupil dilated and get a full examination of the retina and take them to an ophthalmologist, not an optometrist. A lot of parents thought that that's what they needed to do, and so they were missing it.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty scary. I have 4 children myself, and thankfully none of them had that. They do have issues aside from that, but I have to, after hearing all the stories and learning more about it, of course I have grandchildren now, and I'm sure there's going to be more, and I just think about, my gosh, what if, and they're now 3 and 4 years old, so I know that they're okay. But when I go to my next visit to my OBGYN, I'm going to bring it up to her and ask her, because she's been in business for quite some time, so she's not fresh out of school, and I think that more of the older doctors need to be informed, maybe more so than the doctors just getting out of school. But then again, I'm not sure if the new doctors getting out of school are more informed either. Have you come across any of that?
For me, the frustrating thing that I kept hearing was, well, it's just so rare. But it's really not. When, 3,000 children a year are dying from it, I don't count that as being rare.
No.
It should be a little more, I would hope there would be a little more diligence on, even the newer doctors' awareness of what to look for. That's what was so frustrating to me. I don't know about you, Martin.
Well, when we first thought there's something really wrong here, when we got the photographs back from our photographer friend who'd been taking some photographs, and there's just this white flash, we took Joshua down to the local NHS Children's Clinic, which luckily we've got in town. They checked her over, sent us to the main hospital, to the optometrist there, and they took a look. And in the meantime, I'd done a little bit of homework, but even they weren't 100% sure. So after a lot of consultation, out of earshot of us, they basically referred us up to the London hospital in London to Dr. John Hungerford at the time, who was basically the consultant for RB. So it took 2 separate visits to different areas within the medical profession before we were referred. But we were there within a week and a half. So it was relatively quick. Yeah, there was obviously something drastically wrong there. But in terms of GPs, in terms of other doctors, and also the local eyeglass shop, there's been a push by Childhood Eye Cancer Trust to actually get posters in there, what to look out for. We've got a chain here which has been putting up posters within the actual stores themselves. In prominent areas.
Opticians.
Yeah, opticians. That's the word I was looking for. I just couldn't quite think of it.
Yeah.
I should do really, shouldn't I? The optician shops. And they have been putting up posters, and there's been a push to actually get the posters up in doctors' waiting rooms, etc., up and down the country. How successful that's been, I don't know. I know we've got one up at our local doctors, here. So, but awareness, not 100%. Because it's so rare. It's the kind of disease you've got to keep pushing, and keep pushing and keep pushing. Because if you don't, it just disappears under the carpet again.
Mm.
Yeah, like I say, it's rare on a certain scale if you look at it. But
on their scale, yeah.
Right. It's not just that cancer. When we went to Sacramento, and I lobbied to get a bill passed, and they call it Katya's Law. There is a protocol there for pediatricians to check the retina now when a baby is born.
Cool.
But it's still for the 6-week wellness exam, you get into a whole other bunch of loopholes and. The whole system of, who wants to be responsible now at the 6-week wellness exam to get that taken care of. So I really think what you guys are doing of getting just these posters, even in an optometrist, because like I was saying, a lot of parents don't even know where to take their child when they see this.
Right.
Weird white flash in the eye, that's usually the only thing because there's no other symptoms. The child can't tell you because they're a baby. So I think posters in optometrists, pediatricians' offices, if we could just get them to do that, at least it would give the parents a fighting chance to know, I need to go to a ophthalmologist, like a surgeon, to have their pupil dilated and somebody who really knows how to look at the retina.
Yeah.
There's so many other diseases just besides retinoblastoma that create similar effects. And that will cause blindness. There's many other diseases. So it's just a matter of having parents not be so nonchalant and let it go until it's almost too late.
Yeah. Yeah. It is all about early diagnosis, isn't it? And getting parents aware of what they need to be looking for and the photography that just the results of all of that kind of stuff.
Yes,
I think
that's the most important thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, it sounds like, that the parents need to be educated because the doctors aren't taking it upon themselves to look for the disease itself. And if the parents are educated, then they can go to their doctor and persist on it, or go to the ophthalmologist and persist on it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, is this something that is hereditary, and what are the chances of a sibling getting it?
It can be hereditary. I know if Joshua has children, then it will be hereditary because he's got the broken gene, and there's about a 50% chance of that being passed on to his child. But Joshua himself was the start. He was just born, and neither Linda nor myself, my wife or I, have a broken RB gene. And he just developed a broken RB gene, so it just started. From there. So it can be passed on, or it could just basically pop out of the blue. Now, there's two particular types of eye cancer. You can get unilateral, where it just affects one eye. That eye can either be treated or be removed, and that's the end of the story. But unfortunately, Joshua had what they call bilateral retinoblastoma. It's worse in his left eye than his right eye than his left eye. That was about 75% tumor. But his other eye just had a couple of spots which were dormant for most of the time, as I said earlier. So yeah, I mean that's basically the facts behind that one.
Well, there's this is only relevant if your child was still